All right, so one of the first things when you're working with somebody young, or maybe it's even somebody old, is you got to look at the grip. Because you can start diving into mechanics and you can go over a million different things, but if a kid's holding a baseball differently every time, that's definitely going to affect the outcome of the pitch. So teaching the traditional 4-seam grip, the traditional 2-seam grip. First thing that I like to attack when I'm going over throwing motion is the separation of the hands. All right, so sometimes you get a lot of kids where they separate with their glove way out here, or they separate with their glove way down here. That's going to affect the rest of our delivery. So I think teaching a strong glove side right here, and I'll show you from the side, teaching a strong glove side right here is definitely going to affect the arm path. Now you're going to have some guys that have a shorter arm action, and you're going to have some guys that have a longer arm action. Either one, it's okay. I'm not a big fan of getting your arm all the way up before you land. If you watch a lot of videos of big leaguers and some of the best pitchers in the world, their arm is getting up right as their foot is hitting the ground. All right, so having that in the back of your mind, let's start in a few sections and work our way up. So what I would like to do is I like to start right here, kind of both arms flat, and then just working on as my foot is hitting, my arm's coming up. As my foot's hitting, my arm's coming up. And then as he starts to get the hang of that a little bit, you also want to start thinking about his glove side a little bit. So I'm a big believer in what your glove side does, your arm wants to do the opposite. If I'm going to come real high with my glove side, good chance is my arm is going to go real low. Okay, so once you get here and we practiced this, now I'm going to start getting my hands together. I'm going to get a little glove action going, and I'm going to get here. And again, somebody who has a longer arm action, you might not want to start from right here. So you can always start with the ball right by your side. Same thing, my glove's out here. As my foot's landing, my arm's coming up. We run into some guys who have super long loopy arm actions, and we have some guys that bring it right to their ear and they try to throw darts. So I think being patient with those guys and going over exactly what we're trying to accomplish and not biting off more than you can chew, right? So we will explain exactly what it's supposed to look like, but little Johnny, who's 10 years old, is probably only going to be able to comprehend about 20% of what I'm telling him. So being able to split it up into sections where maybe you start with the ball on a fence and your arm's already up. Even though we don't want our arm to be up so soon, having him get the feeling of his arm being up in that slot and pulling down on it instead of leading with his elbow and kind of throwing a dart or flicking it forward.
That's good stuff right there. And coaches, I think that's really good advice at, breaking things down into certain segments. I think one thing that I struggled with when I was a first-time coach, when I just finished playing baseball, I got to zoned and I was doing a lot of lessons. I wanted to help so much that I felt like at times I was overdoing it, right? I was trying to fix everything all at once. And one thing I like to say, and I've said it to you guys on the show before, try to put yourself in that player's shoes. If you're talking, if you're a 10-year-old kid, would you understand what that coach is talking about right now? And I think it's important that we as coaches slow it down. What makes a great coach is being able to slow it down, work in baby steps, and also be able to teach the same exact thing in a variety of different ways. So, if you were to watch our infield class here at Zoned, we're doing the same exact circuit with 8-year-olds as we are with 18-year-olds. It's going to be a little bit faster paced. The drills are going to be a little bit quicker. We're going to go more in depth, but we're teaching the same exact thing. So I think it's important for you as coaches to be able to teach a variety of different ways. Kids are going to learn by seeing it, they're going to learn by feeling it, or they're going to learn by hearing it. And some kids, you might say 50 times in a row the same thing over and over, and they might just not grasp it. But if you can actually get in the batter's box and maybe show them what their hands are supposed to look like on the load, or get on the pitcher's mound and show them what get your arm up actually means, you could be yelling get your arm up all day, but if that kid doesn't understand what arm up even means, then we're wasting time at that point. So I think it's a really good point that Mikey just made at breaking it down into baby steps. Don't attack it all at once. Don't overwhelm that player with so much information. And a lot of times we do it and we're not even doing it on purpose. And it's something that I got better at the more I coached, just breaking it down, not being in a rush to get things to perfection, but working on one thing a day, and before you know it, it's going to start to take off, and I feel like you can move a lot quicker.
I think being creative too. So something that Steve just said was, you can say the same thing over 50 times and that kid is not going to grasp it. There are so many different ways to explain the exact same thing. What you're trying to explain might technically not even be correct, but if that kid's going to grasp it, now you have a building block that you can build off of. I've been told myself as a pitcher that I needed to separate over the mound early, and separate over the mound as in get the ball out of my glove early. The minute I started thinking that, I became very robotic. And then all of a sudden another coach came over to me and said, hey, let's just think about keeping your head over your back foot and keeping the exact same rhythm that you normally do. And all of a sudden I was now accomplishing getting the ball out of my glove early because I was staying back the way that I needed to. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach what you're trying to explain. And know your crowd. If they're younger, you're going to have to talk slower, and you're going to have to explain and demonstrate everything that you're doing. If you're a little bit older, 16, 17 years old, those kids are going to have a pretty good grasp on what you're trying to do, and they might have a couple questions here and there, but just know your crowd and who you're talking to.